Hey, Shalom, this is Dan. You know, one of my favorite stories in the Bible has to be when the spies go out and survey the land. And this is back in Numbers 13 to be exact. And Moses is sending the people out. He's sending the 12 spies out to go check out the land. And what happens is he tells them specifics. He's like, I want to know, what is the dirt like? What are the people like? What are the trees like? Is the ground fertile? Are we able to do stuff? Are the people as big as what we're hearing them say? And all this type of stuff. And the spies, they go out. Now, it lists all the spies by name, but the two, when you hear the story, the two that pop out are always Joshua and Caleb. And why are they popping out? Because it's those two that came back with a different report than the other 10. Now, one of the things that I always find interesting is that all 12 of these guys, they all went and they saw the same stuff. They all saw the giants, they all saw the dirt, they all saw the produce being done, they all saw all these same things. They all saw the same thing. But why is it they got two different stories? It's Joshua and Caleb. Caleb specifically, in Numbers 13:30, I'm going to read out of the Bible here. It says, Caleb silenced the people before Moses and said, we should go up and take possession of the land, for we can certainly do it. The difference between those other 10 spies and Joshua and Caleb was not that they saw something different, but they believed something different. See, what happens is God said the same thing to all of them. God said back in the time of Abraham, this is going to be where the people are going to inhabit. They all got the same promise. But after checking it out, the 10 then come back, they got a different report than Joshua and Caleb, and it's not because anything was different, it's because of what they perceived different. Remember, it was these 10 spies that said, we were grasshoppers in our own eyes. They themselves saw themselves as grasshoppers amongst a field of giants. But that's not what God ever said. God never said that they weren't going to be able to inhabit the land because they were too small. He never said, I'm not going to give you this land because you're too small. He said, this is your land. Why is it that they chose not to believe? It's, again, Joshua and Caleb who came with a different mindset that said, you know what, you're right. They are big. The produce is good. The dirt's good. Let's go take them out. We are not above taking this out because we have God on our side. And you've probably heard the old cliche, God plus one is a majority. That's exactly what they had. They had the majority. Joshua and Caleb saw this, the other 10 didn't. And then what really twists the story is that the other 10 went and took their message to the other people in the camp. And they spread it all throughout the camp, and all of a sudden you had this panic and commotion going on over something that was contrary to what God said. So where am I going with this? What has God said to you? Has He told you something specific, and here you are saying, oh, it's never going to happen, it's never going to happen, I can't do it. Maybe. Hey, I've been there before, I'm not above it. I have been there where I have said, God, I know what you said, but here's what I see, and therefore I am a grasshopper in my own eye. We have to get to the point where we truly and honestly believe what God says about us, about our circumstances. Doesn't His word say that no weapon formed against us shall prosper? Then why is it that we fear these weapons as if they're going to hurt us? Isn't it God who gives a list of blessings? And yet, here we are saying, well, it's never going to happen to me. Well, you know what? You might not win the lottery, but that might not be how God wants to bless you. God, though, has said He will bless you. It says in Deuteronomy 28, I'll bless those. I'll bless them coming in, I'll bless them coming out. I'll bless them in all these types of circumstances. Now, there's a key factor. We have to believe what God says. And that's the exact same thing that happens here. Here we are in Numbers 13, and the same message has been given. I'm going to bless you with this land. And all they had to do was believe that God was telling them the truth and believe that God was going to help them get to that point of blessing. And instead, these 10 guys spread the rumor that, you know what, we are grasshoppers in our own eyes and we cannot defeat these guys. And why did we come out here in the desert just so that we could die? We could have done that back in Egypt. It was never God's intention. So what is God saying to you? What is He saying about you? Does God say that you might as well look at yourself as being a grasshopper? No. No, God is saying way more than that. Go back and listen to what He first told you. It wasn't, hey, you're a grasshopper. I guarantee you, He never called you a grasshopper. But He did tell you, you are His. you're blessed, and He is on your side, and no weapon formed against you will prosper. And He said that you are the head and not the tail. You are blessed coming in and blessed going out. He has put all these things in print for us to read, all these blessings that tell us who we are. It's time that we start believing it, myself included. It's time we start believing what God says about us, what God says He's going to do for us. You know what? As a result of this one moment, the Bible tells us that for 40 days that the spies were gone, they got 40 years of walking around the same mountain. Do you want to be that guy who says, man, looking back, I know what God told me, and now here I am walking around for the next 40 years because I chose not to believe what He said? I don't want to be that guy. I think I have been that guy for long enough. It's time for us to grab a hold of what God is telling us. It's time for us to become the Joshua and the Caleb, and to say, just like Caleb, when we see what's going on in the land, we say what? We silence the people and we say, we should go up and take possession of the land, for we can certainly do it. God told Caleb, and He told Joshua, and He told Moses, and He told all of them, I am with you. I'm going to give you this promise. God is with you, and He's going to give you what He promised you. Are you ready to start listening to what God is saying? Shalom.